Indirect speech acts. One of the most interesting things about speech acts is that we very commonly perform speech acts indirectly. In the last video on direct speech act, we talked about ways in which speech acts can be performed. 1. By making a direct literal utterance, or 2. By using a performative verb that names a speech act. In addition to these direct speech acts, we can use the felicity conditions to make indirect speech acts. Remember, felicity conditions means that certain conditions on the acts of questioning and requesting must be performed before it is considered valid. Or before these conditions are considered valid, maybe. Look at the speech act questions and requests again. Questions. I'm putting the direct and the indirect together. It's easy when you see them together, you can kind of see the difference. So a direct speech act, at least with a question, would be A. Did John marry Helen? Notice you can say yes or no, and if you do that, it satisfies the purposes of the question. With B, I put a performative verb in there. I ask you whether John married Helen. So you'll say yes, John did, or no, John didn't. Right? Now look at it indirectly. Indirect speech acts will be 2A. I don't know if John married Helen. So the sentence is phrased more as a declarative, but then the speaker is probably going to give information to that. Yeah, John did or he did not marry Helen. B, I would like to know if John married Helen. Again, that's an indirect speech act. And C, do you know if John married Helen? Even if you say yes, I know, or no, I don't know, you still haven't satisfied the purposes of that. So 2A, B, and C are examples of indirect speech acts, and then 1A and B are examples of direct speech acts. Requests. Let's take a look. So 1A, direct. Please take out the garbage. That is a direct order. B, I request you to take out the garbage. It's also direct because of the performative verb request is embedded within the sentence to name the speech act. Now, indirect, these are different. Notice how 2A says the garbage isn't out yet, and maybe I'm looking at my son who's playing video games on his TV or on the computer. You have B, could you take out the garbage? My son could say, yes, I could, or no, I could not, and then still not do it. You have C, would you mind taking out the garbage? And then D, I would like for you to take out the garbage. So think about these things for a minute. Identifying indirect speech acts. Practice identifying speech acts. For each sentence that you see, identify the sentence type, the speech act, and whether it's direct or indirect following the example I just provided. A, is it going to rain today? B, why haven't you emptied the trash? Dad says to daughter. So sometimes I'll put something in parentheses so you can understand the social nature of the sentence, and that helps you understand more about what's going on. A stranger is not going to go to another stranger and say, why haven't you emptied the trash, right? That's not going to happen. C, Los Angeles has a population of more than 3 million. D, do you think anyone in the class will need a ride to the art exhibit? Teacher says to student. E, what is your name? F, when are you going to help me take this refrigerator inside? Brother says to brother. G, turn on the air conditioner. H, did you trade in your car for a new one? I, please return your loan application tomorrow. J, where is the Fall Library located? L, the United States is approximately 3,000 miles from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean. Maybe I should put this in here too. M, there shouldn't be any napping in class right now, teacher says to students. N, those Krispy Kreme donuts sure look good, friend says to a friend. O, do you need some help with your homework? P, Storm surge waves are expected at the beach this weekend. Q. Why are you still here? Boss says to recently fired employee. So take a minute, and as you do each of these, you'll see the answers in just a second. But remember, when you look at them, first of all, the sentence type. Everybody should reach the same conclusion with this, right? Now what the debate happens is, okay, here's a sentence type, but what is the purpose of that sentence? What is a speech act? This is where we can have multiple answers. And then is it direct or indirect? Let's take a look at the answers. So A, is it going to rain today? It's an interrogative. Everybody should have the same response there. It's a question, and it's a direct speech act, right? There's nothing that's unusual with this one. B, however, why haven't you emptied the trash? So the dad's really saying to the daughter, empty the garbage, I think. I think that's the best way to look at it. So this is interrogative, directive, and because the directive or the speech act is different from the sentence type, right, it's indirect. Now, if you look at it as just a question, then you would look at it as interrogative, question, direct. That's the other way to look at it. 3, I don't see any other interpretations on this one. Or a C, Los Angeles, declarative, assertion, direct. Good. D, do you know anyone in the class? Do you think anyone in the class will need a ride to the art exhibit again? That's pretty straightforward. So, what's your name? Same thing. F, when are you going to help me take this refrigerator inside? I think it means help me. Take the refrigerator inside now, the brother's saying to the brother. Remember, they have a similar kind of status. So, and especially men. Men are pretty good. They use a lot of direct speech acts. They order each other around. Then when they get married, they find out if they marry an opposite a woman, they're going to find out that this direct kind of speech doesn't work very well. Believe me, after being married for almost 30 years, I can tell you it doesn't. So I had to learn to be less direct in how I communicate with my wife because she does not like a lot of direct speech acts. She doesn't like him in text messages. She doesn't like me when I say him directly. She doesn't like him at all. So it's much better for me in my marriage to be indirect. In this case, we have interrogative, directive, indirect, right? If you think it is only a question and there's nothing more, then you would say interrogative, question, direct. G, simple, very straightforward. Same thing with H. I, definitely an imperative, directive, indirect. J looks like a legitimate question, interrogative, question, direct. L, it's just making a statement, right? There's nothing beyond that. So declarative, assertion, direct. M, notice the relationship here. Teacher says to student. So there shouldn't be any napping in class right now. It means wake up. It means don't nap. So to me, even though it's a declarative in the sentence type, it is more of a directive and it's indirect. N. This one's interesting how you want to look at it. And it is two friends. It's not a friend talking to a stranger or, someone talking to a stranger. So if the one friend says those Krispy Kreme donuts look good, maybe the friend's saying, can I share? Can I have some? So in this case, I look at it as declarative, directive, indirect. That's how I look at it. If you don't see any indirect meaning at all in it, then you would say declarative, assertion, direct. That's the other way to look at it. But I think it's more likely because the friend's talking to the friend. And if somebody says, your friend says, those donuts sure look good, you're more likely to say, do you want one? That would be a common response to that sentence. Okay, O, do you need help with your homework? Looks like a question, interrogative, question, direct. B is pretty straightforward. Q. To me, this is not, why are you still here? To me, this is get the hell out of here. Leave. Get out. I don't see anything polite about this. So I look at why are you still here, even though it is an interrogative, it is a directive. It means leave immediately. So then it's indirect speech act. So those are how I would interpret those. So remember, when you take the test, you will see, I think it's about 8 or 9 of these questions involving indirect speech acts. Or it can be indirect or direct speech acts, whichever way you want to look at it, and they'll be in the form of multiple choice answers.